Hey guys, welcome back to Coaching Coins. Today I want to talk about leadership involvement and how Dr. Bryan stays involved in the profession, and also his journey to create pills, which will be another video. With that, I'm going to go ahead and ask him some questions and also just share his personal experience on why did you start getting involved in pharmacy school and how you stay motivated to engage.
Yeah, sounds good. So with pharmacy school, it was sort of one of those things where I wanted to completely shift the way I approached it compared to undergrad. So for those who know me and sort of my journey to pharmacy school, undergrad was sort of different, or I guess the exact opposite of how my pharmacy school went. I don't think I had, I guess, good guidance, and I didn't have a great approach to how I was sort of going to go about classes and preparing to get into pharmacy school. So, for lack of better words, my grades were horrible, and that actually prevented me from really getting involved as much as I wanted to. So, I went to pharmacy school with a whole complete different approach. I wanted to, get involved. I wanted to have the, much better grades, and sort of again make some kind of impact. The interesting thing about when I applied to Howard, during the interview, I said, I don't know why I said this, but I said, I'm going to bring fame to your school. I don't even know what that means, but I sort of just said that. What I was trying to say was, I want to be able to contribute to the school's excellence and be able to sort of get involved, not just internally, but externally, to make the name of Howard continue to be good as I'm associated with it. So get an interview, coach, if you if you want to avoid situations like that. Either way, that was sort of my mindset, right? I wanted to get involved as much as possible. And the book that I read my first year was called by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yes, it's a really good book. It really changed, again, my mindset approaching pharmacy school, really from the perspective of how do I interact with people in order to make an impact. I think that was sort of my biggest takeaway from that.
And what was the impact that you were looking for to make?
Yeah, so I wanted to be able to leave the school and feel like I did something to progress the overall excellence. I want to feel like I provide opportunities for other people, not just for myself, for those who are coming in and for those who may be impacted or affected by the school service or whatever sort of contribution the school may make to any other people. I want to make sure that what I did helped to progress that goal.
So how many organizations were you involved with, and which one that you felt like was most impactful to you personally and professionally?
Sure. So I was in Student National Pharmacy Association, or SNAPA. I was also in APHA, American Pharmacy Association. I got involved with ASHP, American Society of Health Systems Pharmacists, the student chapters, and ROCI. So the interesting thing about ROCI is, that's where I actually had the most leadership experience there. I was the president of ROCI at that time. One thing that I took as a big challenge, I wanted to challenge myself, was the concept of you can't have good grades and still get involved, right? I think being involved in ROCI and sort of doing leadership within ROCI was, for me, the biggest example of that, of breaking that notion, saying, hey, I worked hard to get into the ROCI. For those who may not be familiar with ROCI, I believe
you have to be inducted.
Yeah, you have to get inducted,
with the grades that you're supposed to. Not everybody is able to get into ROCI. So when Bryan said, my grades are horrible in undergrad, now he's like, in ROCI, it's just like a night and day difference.
Night and day, yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to challenge myself by saying, hey, I can keep the grades up and still get involved. And traditionally with ROCI, it tends to be sort of a limited leadership or sort of limited engagement with activities or I guess leadership activities, because a lot of times you get the grades and you're in, right? So as a president, I wanted to, work with a lot of organizations as much as I can to increase the exposure, to really assist the school in the best way that ROCI students could. But I think my most rewarding experience, leadership-wise, organization, was probably through Student National Pharmacy Association, SNAPA. They had a lot of national engagement, so they had their national conference. We won an award actually,
Oh.
and it was pretty good. Prescription for Service award. That allowed us to actually open up a lot of doors, right? We got a $10,000 stipend.
Wow.
And that was our service is actually associated with our collaboration with the United States, or the DC Department of God's the name's skipping me now, either Defense or Security. Either way, they then, outside of the 10,000, they partnered with Howard and gave us a yearly stipend of $75,000 and allowed us to put together what is now called the Capital City Pharmacy Medical Reserve Corps, or CCP MRC.
Wow.
And that's the first MRC, pharmacy-focused MRC in the nation.
Okay.
So-
So what does that do?
So we do a lot of community resilience, engagement with disaster response and emergency response. So if you're familiar with MRCs, a lot of that is focused with, hey, if there's some sort of terrorism, any sort of natural disasters which may warrant an emergency response, they then get activated and they're able to be able to provide that resource for those who are affected. So from a pharmacy perspective, we were able to look at how medications may be impacted, how educating the public on sort of emergency medication responses, and or what happens to your medications once a disaster hits. You know, how do you
Right.
reconcile and be resilient? Such
And how you're able to get extra supply,
Right.
especially in most of the places that are closed, or vice versa.
Right.
Which is, wow, that's amazing as a
Yeah.
student in terms of working that with that project and the impact.
It was fun. It was fun, and it sort of kind of it got back to like what I was trying to say during the interview as far as bringing fame to the school. it was sort of sort of stretching beyond sort of the norm, right? And not just getting involved with organizations, but being able to do something with some sort of impact that goes beyond just you and your
Right.
time there. So that was a pretty awesome experience.
So there are students who are motivated, want to have a purpose like yourself. What are one thing you would tell to students who are not as motivated, who just want to finish with, grades and get their PharmD and not as involved? How would you encourage those students to get involved?
Sure.
What things would you tell them?
Now, I will make the disclaimer that you do have to determine what you want to get out of pharmacy school, right? If you're going there simply to get a career right afterwards, and you're not really, you may not have the time or resource to really get involved, you do have to make that decision for yourself. But as far as those who can really benefit from getting involved, or may seek to get involved, the motivational factor, what I want you all to think about is after you graduate, a lot of what your postgraduate opportunities, or even your career, a lot of it's going to be heavily impacted or dictated by what sort of involvement you had outside of just simply your grades. I like to think that your grades would sort of get you about probably 30 to 40% of the way, honestly, in your career, because you can always get the knowledge and the information from journals, didactics. Sometimes you will find yourself learning a lot more after you graduate. So the knowledge base that you get from school is not probably less important than the leadership experience, because those are the intangibles that allows you to really perform well.
Right.
And it gives you that sort of personal interaction, or I guess person-to-person, interpersonal relationships that you would need when you're working with others. So
Absolutely. And also sharpen your communication skills and teamwork skills. As a manager, one of my motto is to hire for attitude and train for skills. A lot of things you learn in school are the basic, but then when you're on your job, it's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
So you get trained as well. So being able to stay involved and engaged is so critical. So fast forward the student phase now into the resident phase. But one advice you would have for those, because residency is kind of pharmacy on steroids. Right?
Yeah.
Pharmacy school on steroids. So what one advice you would have for those who are in residency and want to get involved but don't have the time to be involved?
Sure. This sort of kind of alludes back to what I just mentioned, what I alluded to earlier as far as those organizational involvement or leadership experience is what's really going to carry you in your profession. And so, yes, you want to balance your time. You want to make sure that you're not in 6 national organizations while trying to balance residency. but I would encourage you to get involved because there's a lot of network opportunities there. Actually, when I was a resident, I got involved with an organization there, TSHP, Texas Society of Health Systems Pharmacists. And a lot of the people that I met during that time, I actually ended up working with in some capacity, whether it's publications, the actual facility or site that I'm working in, or reaching out to them for some kind of favor or assistance. That network you build is so paramount to your career. So I would say that'll probably be a key thing, a key reason to get involved as a resident.
And pharmacy is such a small world. It maybe seems big, but it's a very small world.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a 60 degree of someone will know you through someone else.
Yes.
Lastly, there are folks who are working professionals, not necessarily residents, that again, there are a lot of reasons why they can't get involved. It's either financial, where dues are too high, or I don't have time. So how do you keep yourself involved now that you've finished the residency phase and still be engaged?
Yeah.
What are some tips, 3 tips that you would give to working professionals?
Sure, to get involved nationally or?
Nationally, locally, in the statewide.
Sure. So 3 tips to do it, or I'll sort of approach it in different ways. So 3 tips and 3 reasons why you should do it. Yes, you want to balance your time. However, again, networking I think will be the first reason why you want to get involved through organizations locally or nationally. Networking is going to be key. I already mentioned sort of the importance of networking. Second thing is it actually helps you with your work-life balance, really. When you are able to compartmentalize and strategize, hey, I'm involved nationally or I'm involved locally, I need to be able to plan accordingly, and those skills are really helpful for you as you progress your career in whatever area you fall into. So if you go into management, being able to balance your time appropriately by getting involved professionally would help you a lot. I think the third thing would be honestly the opportunity to travel and take a break. So by being involved right now, currently I'm involved with CPNP, College of Psychiatric and Neurologic Pharmacists. I was also briefly involved with ACCP, American College of Clinical Pharmacists, as well as Student National Pharmacy Association. So all the conferences, they're amazing. You get a chance I'm going to Utah now. I didn't even plan to, but now I'm going to Utah.
Nice.
Went to Orlando, Vegas. It's a nice break, from the mundane day-to-day. You're meeting people and learning too, especially with the CEs that you get from these organizations.
And potentially your workplace may pay for it.
Yes.
If you get a poster or a presentation. So it's also an extra reason. One thing, I'm going to play devil advocate.
Sure.
Folks that said, well, I already have a job. I don't really need network because, I'm going to stay with this job for life. What would be your response to that, to those folks?
Yeah. Well, you can't guarantee you're going to stay with your job for life. And one way to sort of, again, secure any sort of adjustments or changes in your future would be by going through conferences and networking. And it's pretty cool because even outside of residency and mid-year, I met a few people at different conferences that I was able to tap into when I wanted to shift my career. And so that, again, meeting the people within your field, even if you feel like, well, I'm just working, I don't feel the need to continue to go into these organizations, meeting the different individuals within your field and networking allows you to really be flexible in your career and move the way that you want to. Outside of that, honestly, you have to get CEs. So that is a really great way of getting CEs, especially to get board certifications. Sometimes you sort of almost have to go to some of these conferences to get them, depending on which sort of board certification you have.
Right. Well, thank you for that. I absolutely agree. I think most of the time, I think the top 2 reason is either finance or time, right? But if you think about it, how many hours a day we spend on Facebook, Google, internet. Most of the organization out there when you're involved, it's really an hour a meeting per month, and then depending on what projects you're involved with. So sometimes also folks say, well, I don't know anyone, so it's intimidating. Well, find someone and be friend with them. So you can actually, or drag one of your friends that are pharmacy friends, and 2 of you join, and that will be at the start. At least you guys get to know each other and also the organization. So there are many ways to get involved. I hear a lot of reasons why you shouldn't be involved, but I think we all are busy. It's just a matter of what Bryan was saying is prioritize your time. So I hope you find this helpful. Post any comments down, and for those that are involved right now, please post your comments. For those that are not involved and want to be involved, post any question comments. We'll make sure I'll look at it and I'll respond. If I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does. So thank you guys and take care.